I've got my whole community on red alert. Mario, you might remember, just dealing with this question, Ref Silver specifically, that we had a moment where I said there could be one more rejection at the 50 range. We talked about once, twice, three times a lady. I use these metaphors so that people remember you say something. It's easier to remember that. It was a line out of a Lionel Richie song. Not that I was a fan, but anyway. We went up to 54 and we pulled back down to 47, and I don't think you have much of a big dip, but I was expecting some form of a technical rejection. At the time it was moving very strongly and you thought it would continue, and that was our only point of difference. Now we've had that rejection that went with the gold, which is why we also met our platinum target. So we're actually looking to exploit the failure of the fiat debt system by trading as well as investing. And you need to be careful when you trade. And it's not necessarily for everyone, but we have real method with regards to doing that. And it's our overall opinion. And it's something I don't stop like a flea in the ear of my community saying, you are not missing the silver move. You are not missing the silver move. We've had now the rejection. And if I can just go again to the charts, and I think the supply story, because the question is actually a fundamental one, not a technical one.
I just wanted to ask you quickly because someone gave a super chat and he wants thoughts on platinum as well. So maybe you could look at platinum.
So I'll do both in one go and then I'll hand back and then you go to Clive, please. But this wick could literally be that it doesn't need to be a big rejection because of the fundamentals of the supply being so rattled. It's not something you paper over. That's another point, just by the way, on supply. So much of silver production is incidental secondary product. You don't have pure mines that you can just say, hey, can you open up that other shaft that you've already dug and all of that and just start pumping it out now that prices are better? No, you don't. You're relying on gold, zinc, copper miners who actually stumble on silver where there's a reasonable percentage of it.
Silver production often benefits from what miners call secondary extraction. Because companies are already spending the energy and money to dig for primary metals like copper, gold, or zinc, the silver that appears alongside those deposits comes at a disproportionately low cost. It becomes an additional revenue stream for copper miners, even though silver itself wasn't the main target. But when you aren't relying on these secondary discoveries, forecasting consistent silver supply becomes extremely difficult. This creates supply constraints, something that adds to the existing deficit we're already seeing in the LBMA system. Now, shifting to the technical side of the silver market, we recently experienced a third major rejection, moving from the $54 level down to around $47. When you zoom into the smaller timeframes, the chart structure suggests that the next significant move could push silver back toward the high 90s. Historically, markets tend to pause just below triple-digit levels, around $90 to $99, before making a bigger breakout. We've mapped this pattern before, and the setup is appearing again. The reason I'm highlighting this chart, which many have already seen, is because this looks like that third and final rejection before the big upward move. This breakout structure is forming right now. Fridays often deliver strong downward pressure, yet last Friday, despite the initial drop, the price rebounded almost entirely before the close. With the Sunday market open approaching soon, it appears we're getting extremely close to breaking out of this continuation pattern. This is the moment my community has been watching closely, the moment the lady arrives, meaning the real move begins. When you asked earlier whether we were already off to the races, I mentioned we'd see one more small pullback. That technical correction has now played out, and I'm in the same position I was when silver hit $54. You don't want to miss this. Before we wrap up, let's talk briefly about platinum. Platinum just hit a very important level. Shout out to Oro Lobo for his question on this earlier. This is for him and everyone else who asked. I don't follow platinum as closely as some analysts do, but Clive does, and he's very bullish. He sees platinum as cheap gold, with supply even tighter than silver. Recently, platinum made a substantial move. It was trading below $1,000, then broke out in a major weekly technical pattern, the upside HBF setup, which projected a target of $1,621. The market reached that level, pulled back, and has now completed its rest phase. If silver begins its next leg up, platinum will likely follow, provided gold holds steady. Gold doesn't need to explode upward. It simply needs to avoid any sharp decline. As long as gold maintains stability, the rest of the precious metals complex can ignite. Based on the charts, platinum has likely retraced as far as it's going to. A renewed bid may appear soon, offering another opportunity before the next leg. So, here's the takeaway. Don't miss the silver move. Don't miss the platinum move. And keep an eye on gold. Its stability is the key that unlocks the rest of the precious metals market. Silver supply is tightening. Secondary extraction is unpredictable. Institutional deficits are growing. Technical charts are aligning. And the third rejection signal is flashing once again. Platinum has completed a major target, pulled back, and is preparing for its next leg. Gold is stable, steady, and ready to support the next wave. This is not the time to blink.
Okay, Clive, what have you got any thoughts on platinum, and also
Sure.
this talk about this $2,000 stimulus from the Trump administration?
First of all, on platinum, there's been quite a shortage of platinum in the marketplace this year. I think it's about 16%, which is one of the reasons why the platinum price has gone up by 60-odd% this year. According to the estimates I've seen, that deficit should come more into balance next year. But the long-term prospects for platinum are once again one of deficit, and of course the platinum market is absolutely tiny compared with the gold or silver market. And as Francis pointed out, platinum is more of a byproduct of other mining. So there's not a lot you can do to increase the platinum amount. You can't just go and open up a platinum mine. I mean, apart from that, it's impossible to find. But even if you did, it wouldn't be economic unless you're mining something else. And most of the platinum in the world comes from Russia and mostly from South Africa. But Russia and South Africa are the two key places. So potentially some instability from those places in terms of the supply. And if we get into a situation where the supply doesn't get out because of civil strife or something. So if you want to get involved in precious metals, it's not a bad thing to have some exposure to platinum as a sideline to gold, because if it decides to move, it's going to move a lot faster and further than silver or gold. Having said that, I think it's had its run for the time being, so I'm kind of expecting a year or so of stability. But I do think long term, the prospects are for the platinum price to exceed the gold price, just as was the case for, well, since the beginning of time and up until a decade or two ago. So yes, by all means hold platinum, but it's not kind of, gold is the ultimate safe asset. Platinum is more of an asset you want to buy and change it to gold at some point when the price has gone up.
Platinum is absolutely worth holding, but it's important to understand its role. Platinum is not the same kind of asset as gold. Gold remains the ultimate safe haven, the anchor of monetary value across civilizations. Platinum, on the other hand, behaves more like a strategic opportunity, something you accumulate when it's undervalued and eventually convert into gold once its price rises significantly. And that viewpoint is widely shared. Gold is, and always will be, a monetary metal. Do like, share, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell icon for more updates.